I'm Rimac, founder and CEO of Rimac Automobili.
Over the past 8 years, the goal has shifted. It started with a dream to make my own car, and now we consider ourselves as a technology company, pushing the limits of electric vehicles and building the next generation of electric sports cars. All parts are developed in 3D models. The designers work on them, then the engineers, aerodynamics, crash safety, production, all of that has to be taken into consideration. Then in the end, when we have the finished part in the 3D model, we have to decide how to produce it. For some more complex parts like this one, the rear bumper, when it's a big part, we usually make a positive model, which is machined out of a solid block, which represents the final geometry of the real part. Then we laminate a composite tool, which in this case consists of 6 or 7 pieces in order to be able to disassemble it once it's laminated. And from that tool, we make the piece, which is a carbon fiber piece in this case, which then gets either painted in clear coat or in a certain paint. For other parts, usually smaller parts which are made in higher volume, we make a direct mold or a direct tool out of metal, or in this case aluminum. The first step of the production of the composite parts is to get the 3D models and get the three-dimensional shape into a flat plane to be able to cut it. Then the machine, a cutter, cuts the material specifically for this part, for the different layers. In this case, it's a pre-preg carbon fiber piece, which means the carbon fiber has pre-impregnated resin into it already. Then the colleagues here in the carbon fiber department laminate the carbon fiber in different ways and different angles with different layers and different materials over the mold. It gets vacuum bagged and then put into the autoclaves. In the autoclaves, it gets cooked under high pressure and high temperature in a special curve. After that, it gets taken out of the mold, cut, bonded, if necessary painted, or upholstered, and then into the car, or if it's a part of a battery pack, it gets into the battery pack production, depends which part it is. So here we don't only produce the parts of the car, like the body parts and the interior parts, but also functional parts like battery module housings, or in this case, a power distribution unit for Koenigsegg Regera. So many parts are made here, not just the body parts of the car. So we basically had to learn all of these things, how to make a mold, how to develop a part, how to make a body panel. And in the beginning our parts were not the best, let's say. They were heavy and the surface quality was not really good. So it took a lot of effort and time and learning to get to the level where we are now, where we can have perfectly looking clear carbon pieces. And especially the structural parts for the safety relevant components like battery pack housings, and for the next model also the carbon fiber monocoque. And especially it took quite some investment to get here with the autoclaves and the other equipment. So why didn't the Concept 1 have a monocoque? Because I couldn't afford the autoclave in the beginning. So after the parts are finished with the autoclave and we get them out of the mold, they get cut, bonded if necessary, if it's multiple parts, then they come into the paint shop. So this is, for example, a carbon fiber piece straight out of the mold, and then the guys here prepare them and paint them. And until we get a finish like this, it's about 15 layers of clear coat, but they can also be painted in different kind of color schemes. And the good thing is, this paint shop is right next to the carbon fiber production, so if there is some issue, the guys can work with each other to work out all of the problems and to get to the right quality and to see where the issue happened, whether in the production of the parts or in the paint shop. So we are here in the machine shop of Rimac Automobili. So we are not just making the car and the systems, but also the little parts. We start with a block of material like this, for example, which is aluminum, and from that we make a bunch of different parts. In this case, for example, a gearbox, or a part of the powertrain, or even the little bits and pieces like the levers on the steering column, or parts of the battery pack, even the lights of the car. So from the same block of material, there are thousands of parts being produced, not just for our own cars, but also for the stuff we do for other manufacturers, for Koenigsegg, Aston Martin, and a bunch of others. So it starts as a block of material, and we do all the little bits and pieces, then do the systems, and then they go into the cars. So besides just making the parts, there is also a lot of tools and jigs necessary to produce parts. So this is, for example, part of a mold for a carbon fiber piece. So this is also made here. So we design the parts, engineer them, develop the tools, then we make the tools here, we make the parts, make the systems, and then the whole car. So the big step for us is coming from the technology company and a very small volume manufacturer to a serious supplier in the car industry. So we want to scale up to thousands of units. So of course you can't produce components like this anymore. I love machine parts, they look nice, but they are expensive to produce and it takes a lot of time. So going into high volume production, it doesn't work like this anymore. We are expanding our machine shop a lot. We are moving into a new location within the next year, and there will be tens of machines, dozens of machines around. Now we have just a couple of them. But we will also introduce a lot of more casting and plastic parts and so on when we go into higher production.